Hi, welcome to the Recovery Daily Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abassi. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor, and I'm kind of choking. Anyway, the listener challenge for this month, the Serenity Prayer Daily Reflection, writing prompt for the day is: how does reciting the Serenity Prayer at the start of your day influence your mindset? So I'm hoping we're about halfway through the month. As you recite the Serenity Prayer each day, that it hits you a little differently each day, that you're really stopping. It's not about like seeing if you can memorize it. It's about really, what does each word mean to you? And depending on my mood or what I'm experiencing at the moment that I turn to the Serenity Prayer, it'll hit me totally different. It's quite amazing. It's just like going to my sobriety meeting every day at 7 a.m. We talk about similar topics. Obviously, we go over different topics that or go over topics that we've talked about before. But depending on the day, depending on what I'm going through, that topic just hits me a little differently. It hits me from another angle. So hopefully you're experiencing some changes like that over the course of the month. So today I wanted to talk about my vestibular therapy appointment that I had today. This is my second one where we actually did an evaluation. And I also wanted to talk about getting comfortable where I am in recovery. And there are two songs that spoke to me today, as this was my topic. And one is Sign of the Times by Harry Styles. And the second one is A Million Reasons by Lady Gaga. So I took a couple notes listening to both of those songs, and this is what came to me today. Constantly thinking I need to get away from here and the end is near. Stop crying. It'll be all right. Things are pretty good depending on where you are observing. Why am I always running and fighting? What would it take for me to get comfortable here? When will I learn? I have a million reasons to hate this, but if I can find one reason, I can stay. I can get comfortable. So, again, like, I know these songs are not about that, and I don't care. It's just what comes to me as I'm listening to the words. Sometimes it's just a powerful phrase that I hear. I'm all about the lyrics, and sometimes it's just a powerful phrase that I hear that I'm like, yeah. If I take that phrase and I apply it to my situation, that really speaks to me. So that's really what I'm doing. I know I don't have to give excuses for what I'm doing here, but I kind of feel like, I don't know. I'm like, I hope people don't think I think that's what the song is about. Anywho. Okay, so starting out with a recap of my vestibular therapy appointment. So over the past 2 days, my job was to keep my symptoms down below a 5. And I think that I successfully did that, other than yesterday I got I went online and started looking with my eyeballs at migraine glasses, like migraine sunglasses, outdoor and indoor. And yeah, I did it until my head reached about an 8, and then I was like, what are you doing? You got to stop, Rachel, stop. And I'll even get to the point where I'm like, just click buy. Just click buy so that I don't have to do this anymore. And so I resisted all of that and just shut my computer. So these are my own little internal battles. Anyway, so I got to the appointment. I had on a hat and sunglasses just to block out as much of my environment as possible. And I felt like I was just out of 5 by the time I got there. And interestingly enough, what I think bothered me the most about my transit there was walking up the stairs. So it's on the second floor of this like industrial type building. And the stairwell is outside, and it's like the handrails. I don't know what it was. It's like it happens whenever I walk up these stairs to this place, but it's got like silver handrails that go up, and then it's got green, like dark green colored what are those called? Like the spindles that like come down on the sides of a handrail. And then, obviously the steps are in front of you. And then you've got this whole background of outside. So as I'm walking up the stairs, I just feel overwhelmed by the vision of everything that's going on up the stairs, like the handrail and the environment. Like it's a lot. It's similar to what I feel when I'm walking down an aisle in a supermarket, which I rarely do. I just happened to do it the other day. So, anyway, that's why my symptoms went up when I first got there. So I just sat there and talked to her, and they came back down. Just like I said, it was just about out of 5. And I equate a 5 to I've got the rubber band feeling around my head, but I don't actually have a like pain setting in. It's more of an ache than a pain. Once I have pain, then I classify that as a 6. And then at that point, we're just rating how bad the pain is. And a 10 is sharp pains in my head. So, um, okay, so what did we do? I had to put a harness on. Scratch that. I got to put a harness on. And I walked along the length of the room and followed her instructions. So I did things like just walking my normal pace. And then next I had to walk my normal pace, then walk really fast, and then slow down abruptly. That bothered me. I had to walk and then turn around, and turning around bothers me. I've been experiencing that when I take my dogs out for a walk. If their leash gets wrapped around me or something and I have to turn around, I do it really slowly. I don't like that. What else did we do? I had to walk with my eyes closed forward. I had to walk backwards with my eyes open. Um, yeah, and I think that's about it. That's all I can remember. And then after that, she let me sit for a little bit. And then after that, I stood on this block, and I just had to stand on this. It's a piece of technology that measures how much you're swaying. So I just stand on it, and I have to stare at this like gnome on the wall. I don't know why they chose a gnome, but gnomes are one of my son's favorite things. Coincidentally. I don't know if it is. Side note. So for Christmas, I wanted to buy a new outdoor Christmas light up thing, and I took my son with me. My son, who does not care for Christmas decorations at all, and I'm like a huge Christmas decoration person. So I took him to Home Depot with me. And, we're looking at all this stuff. And he's like, I mean, if I'm going to pick anything, it'll be the gnome. I'm like, okay. So I have a gnome Christmas thing outside. So total side note. Okay, back to the test. So I had to stare at the gnome with my eyes open for, I don't know, maybe 30 seconds. Then I had to close my eyes for 30 seconds. And then she put this like squishy mat under me that was sitting on top of the uh, whatever I just called it, step or whatever, on top of that thing that measures your swaying. And then you stand on top of that squishy thing and it measures your swaying as you look at the gnome. And then you close your eyes again and do it for another 30 seconds. So the results are in, and what she said was that my balance, I'll see if I can articulate this. It's kind of complicated, but when I was staring at the gnome, my balance was good. So all except for when I was standing flat on the platform with my eyes closed, I swayed more than most women my age. Like I swayed more than average. So I was in the red. All the other times was fine. And I did much better than most women my age. So it's like my vestibular system is working in a way, but the exercises or activities, whatever, the evaluation that I had to do walking the line with the harness on, she said everything that correlates your vision to your vestibular system are the things that I failed or that she took points off for. So all the things that are where your vision is being relied upon in order to understand where you are in space, those are the things that I couldn't do. So she classified me, it's like a scale up to 30. 30 is the best you can score, and I scored a 22. She said anything below a 24 is classified as a fall risk. So she said there's definitely something wrong with your vestibular system as it is trying to work with your eyes and your brain. So there is a miscommunication somewhere in there. So I feel validated a little bit. Yeah. She gave me a name for what this is. She asked me a little bit about the 3PD and if I had looked at that. So I don't know if that means that is what I have. She's going to print out the diagnosis. It's so that I know what words they are and stuff, so I can talk to whoever I need to talk to about it, my doctors and you. But she didn't have time to do that today, to print it out. Again, it's not a diagnosis, quote unquote. It is, right, a diagnosis of exclusion. So there were many things I did well, and these things that signify or demonstrate the communication between my vestibular system, my eyes, and my brain that's where the problem is. So the test showed that. So I feel good. Yeah, because this is the first time I have gone to the doctor and I don't feel depressed afterwards, because I actually had somebody say, okay, this isn't working. We can see like I have proof that this isn't working. So that's good, people. That's good. Um, she said that our job is to try to get my body to start relying on my eyes again and that communication, to start trusting it again, because I don't trust it. I've been accommodating for this problem for 2.5 years, and because of that, I don't move my head as much as I used to. I don't move my eyes around as much as I used to. I mean, I've been talking to you guys about how I purposely close my eyes while I'm talking and try to avoid moving them. I purposely look away when there's a car driving by, or when there's a plane overhead, or, if somebody's like, oh, look at the squirrel, I've trained myself not to look. So it's like retraining myself to that it's okay to look. But before my body's really going to believe that it's okay to look, I have to practice looking at things uh, slowly. So my homework until Monday is to set my eyes on something in the distance, like across a very large room, and then focus on that thing, and then move my head very slowly to the left and to the right while staying focused on that item. And I do that for 1 minute, 3 or 4 times a day. And then I need to do the same thing and move my head up and down by remaining focused on that item across the room, up and down very slowly. She said, your job is to keep your symptoms below a 5, so you are going to only manage the things that you can control. And those things are how fast you move your head, and what else did she say? How long you wait in between, or something like that. So that's my job. So I've already done it a couple times today, and I have managed I don't feel good, but it seems like I'm able to keep that rubber band feeling just at bay. I mean, it's there, but I'm able to just keep relaxing and not overdoing it. I have not been on my computer at all over the past 2 days, other than to do this podcast. And even doing that, I'm really not writing my script out and stuff like I was, because I'm an overachiever. So I was like writing out this big script and doing all this stuff. I'm not doing that right now. So again, if you get a lot of ums and knows, that's why. But I promise you, I'm going to practice on my filler words, and we will reduce those in time. So that was my vestibular therapy appointment. I'll be going twice a week for at least 8 weeks, and we'll see how it goes. And I'll keep you updated on how that's going, but it seems promising. What I ran across, I guess, on the paper that she gave me, like a PowerPoint printed out on this 3PD thing, and it says that 78% of patients have a reduction in symptoms. So, and I knew this from the beginning, it's not going to go away. It's just not going to go away. And what's interesting is she said to me on Tuesday for my first appointment, she said, we're gonna do these activities, and the goal is to get you back out there and doing the things that you want to do. And when she said that, I was like, there is no way in hell that I'm going to be able to do things I used to do in 8 weeks. There's no way. But she said, I didn't say that to her. I was just like, alrighty. But she said today, she's like, all I ask is for you to keep coming back, be patient with yourself, and know that things are going to get a little worse before they get better. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to stop doing this like I did vision therapy because this seems right to me. It seems a little more accurate as to what's going on. It seems very neurologically related, and the vision therapy, I don't think they once talked about my brain, and that's what's wrong, right? Is my brain. So, okay, let's move on, shall we? So this topic, so some of the stuff that came to mind from these songs and also from my morning meeting this morning, I can't help it, but there's good stuff that comes out of the readings in the morning, and it's like I jot notes down from what I heard. So this morning was the meditation on calm. So that's what I was listening to. And I jot notes down from that. And then after my morning meeting, my routine now is to sit and listen to music for a half an hour. And as strange as that might sound to somebody, that I'm training myself to be able to listen to music again and find and write my thoughts out and stuff. I don't know how much that resonates with anybody in this audience, but I truly just, I have a lump in my throat even mentioning this because it's kind of embarrassing, I guess, that I just hadn't been able to listen to music for a couple years since my friend died. And everything I was listening to was making me think of this one person who passed away. And I'm like, I have got to be able to correlate music to other things in my life, or just listen to the music for what it is. It's beautiful. It's, all these beautiful instruments, including people's voices. And so it's happening. I'm doing it slowly. I talked to my psychiatrist yesterday about this idea that I'm spending about a half an hour listening to music, and any songs that speak to me or make me feel a lot of stuff. I write down what those things are, and then I share it on my podcast. She thought it was a great idea. She said she was inspired by that. So that's what I'm doing, and hopefully it's something that you're enjoying hearing me talk about. It's definitely helpful to me. This is a healing process for me in the way of music. So what the topic really that's in my mind today is about how much today is different from, back when I was 20 something. Like yesterday is unrecognizable. That's what the meditation today said. Yesterday is unrecognizable. And it's true twofold for me. in sobriety, I look back at who I was as an active alcoholic, and I don't even recognize her. I don't recognize her thoughts. I don't recognize what she was doing. I don't recognize like her inability to clean to the degree that I clean now. Her lack of interest in self-care, you know. I can't I can't consciously, like, I don't even know if that's the right word. I can't brush my teeth and go to bed without gargling with mouthwash. If I get in bed without having gargled with mouthwash, I have to get back out of bed because I have a routine. And if I stray from the routine, I feel like it's almost like washing one hand and not the other. You know how annoying that is to wet one hand and the other one's dry? That's what it feels like. So I just don't even recognize that person that I used to be. But it was me, it was me. And now I'm looking at the person that I was just 10 months ago. And I can almost forget what it was like to wake up and just be on the computer for 8 hours straight. I had so many things I was juggling in my head. And it made me feel alive. I loved that. And I think that's why today, like, I have a hard time just making a loaf of sourdough bread without getting ingredients out to make cookies too at the same time. I have a hard time doing one thing at once. And my husband knows that I have that issue. He's always telling me, well, how about you just do just this? How about you just do, I burned a loaf of sourdough bread a couple weeks ago, and I was like, oh man, I can't believe. And he was like, I have an idea. Maybe it was because you're doing 8 things at once. And I mean, he was right. I was making the loaf of bread, but at the same time, I was preparing for my wedding celebration tea. So I had done all of this stuff. I made finger sandwiches and I can't even fully articulate to you how much stuff I had going on that morning. Um, but that's the way that I worked for my job. And it was really, I loved it. I loved just juggling. It's one of my favorite things to do is just juggle. And so today, i- it's yesterday is unrecognizable. I not only can I not um, mentally keep up with that anymore. Like my brain cannot juggle. It's like imagine a juggler takes out to the street, and this is what he does every day. He gets out there. He's juggling, bowling pins. He's juggling bouncy balls. He's juggling all this stuff, and then one day he gets up and he walks out there, and the only thing that he can do is throw one pin up in the air and catch it. And that's all he can do anymore. That's what I feel like. And so, what would it take for me to get comfortable where I am right now? Um, One thing that I heard in this book that I'm listening to, I don't know if you've noticed, but yesterday I was talking about a different book. So I'm even listening to 2 books at the same time. I'm listening to our book club book for this show, and I'm also listening to another book for my old job's book club. um, but the Identity Theft book by Deborah Meyerson said that she said, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember exactly what she said, but it was something to the effect of, it's okay to be happy where I am. And I've been toying around with that idea before I heard it in the book. I thought, is it okay for me to get comfortable and be happy where I am with this disability? Is it, am I supposed to be miserable? Like, if I'm applying for Social Security long-term disability insurance or no, Social Security disability insurance, am I supposed to be miserable and upset constantly? Or is it okay for me to say, okay, this is what happened in my life, and I'm going to make lemonade out of lemons, and I'm going to find a way to be happy right now. And that might sound weird to somebody who has not um, been who doesn't have a disability as a result of some event like a stroke. But when I heard the book, Deborah Meyerson in the book Identity Theft, say that, I thought, that's exactly what I've been thinking. Like, am I supposed to constantly be miserable? In my podcast, I try to be uplifting and stuff, but that was for the podcast. And I just felt like I wasn't truly allowed to be like, okay, let's get comfortable, because I've been fighting. I've been running and fighting and climbing and doing all of these things. Sorry, I just got a really sharp pain in my head. Closing my eyes. And I feel like another thing that I heard this morning to some effect is to let the waves of change carry me in to where I am. And this sounds similar to me to this idea of, I hear people say in the program, no matter where I go, here I am. And sometimes I was like, I don't know what that means. But what I'm thinking about today and what this means to me is I can let the wave of change carry me in, or I can do what I always do when I go to the beach, which is stay off the boogie board and just get in from the knees down, and I let the wave just crash against me. And I get sprayed all over. I start tasting salt in my mouth. You know, it's not pleasant when you're standing on the shore and you get a big wave that comes up and smacks up against your thighs. You know, that's what I feel like I've been doing with this entire life change that I'm dealing with. And instead of letting change just smack up against me and just make a mess of me, I can turn and face the beach and just ride the wave in. You know, like, get on board and ride it in. Of course it's easier said than done, but sometimes it's nice for me to remind myself, number one, and two, to visualize that kind of thing. One of the things that I really enjoyed that I did early on in this podcast is I did a week of meditations, and it allowed me to create a visualization, a calming visualization. That's a hard word to say. Visualization for myself, and then I slowed myself down enough to actually record it with music in the background. I really enjoyed that. They're still in the podcast series, in series 1, but I don't know. I really like visualizations when it comes to this stuff. I guess that's why I like meditations so much and listening to calm. Um, so I think I feel like I've had a lot of validation today, from both the book emotionally, thinking like it's okay for me to be okay. I don't know how else to say it, and I hope it makes sense, but maybe the more that I tell myself that it's okay to be okay, that I'll be okay. And I'll stop feeling like I have to keep fighting. Maybe it's time for me to stop resisting and spend this time that I'm going to my vestibular therapist and really focus on keeping my symptoms down to a 5, slowing my life down a little bit, which I've been trying to do by laying in bed and listening to my book at night instead of trying to do all of this podcast stuff or put out a blog for the website or, taking the evening time to slow down. And what I know also is that doing the next right thing needs to be done every time the next right thing is in front of me. And I was talking to somebody today. I've been getting to know somebody lately who I had more of a professional relationship with, and found out not too long ago that he is actually in my program. And I've really, really enjoyed talking to him about being in early sobriety and being able to talk about what it's like for me, what it was like for me at that time, because he's somebody that I have always felt like was a really good person. I didn't know that he was struggling. And that quite often is what happens. And so it's just been nice to see this new side of this individual. And if you're listening to this, you know who you are. So I'm really enjoying being able to have another friend in sobriety. Um, and today I was talking, or yesterday, I was talking about doing the next right thing and turning off my wanter. And he said that he has started saying that, turning off his wanter. And that really made me smile um, because it means that he gets it. He gets what I'm saying and what that means. And I know that if you understand what it means and you know the importance of doing the next right thing and just doing, even though maybe you don't feel like it, you're going to keep going. Like, you're going to be able to stay sober if you're doing that. That's just what happens. Because if we consistently do the next right thing, we cannot pick up a drink because a drink is never the next right thing. So this is perseverance, consistently doing the next right thing, even when we don't feel like it or it doesn't feel good. And that uh, means a lot to me right now in vestibular therapy, because I'm going to be doing the same thing. I'm going to be doing the same thing that I did when I got sober. And that is that I have to do the next right thing. The next right thing is for me to look away from my computer and shut it. No matter how much I want to see how what my last song that my son posted on Instagram is, or I want to see how many people have liked my recent post on Facebook, or that kind of thing. I gotta not do it. It's not the next right thing. The next right thing is for me to keep my symptoms down below a 5. And I relate that to, if I am sitting on my recliner. So I'm gonna travel back in time to my first year of sobriety, when I was sitting on my recliner, my favorite recliner that you guys know I talk about. I was sitting on my favorite recliner, and if I was to not do the next right thing, then that self-talk was going to eventually start shifting, because I'm starting to do my own will. I'm listening to my wanter. And my wanter eventually is going to tell me that I want to escape. And if I don't be, more active, or cut that off at the pass, and go to a meeting instead, do the next right thing, then eventually it's going to lead me to a drink. So I had to consistently every freaking Saturday morning, when everybody else got to sit around. I love Saturday mornings, with the kids and cartoons and all these things. I guess my kids weren't cartooning back then. I don't know. We still cartoon sometimes. I love me some SpongeBob. Anyway, I can't watch it right now. So back then, I had to just do it, whether I wanted to or not. I wanted to sit and watch SpongeBob, but instead I had to get up and do what was right for my sobriety, what was going to keep me healthy. And today it's the same thing. I want to do what everybody else is doing. I want to watch Big Bang Theory. I want to go for a walk. I want to go for a run. I want to ride my bike. I want to do these things that I cannot do. But if I persevere and I do the next right thing right now for the next 8 weeks, then if I put my trust in this therapist, I know that I'm going to feel a little bit better in 8 weeks. And that's what I heard in sobriety. I heard, if I just keep doing the next right thing, I'm going to start feeling a little bit better in time. And it was true. Oh my gosh, it was true. Because I'm on top of the world now as far as my sobriety goes. I'm so effing grateful to be sober. There's another lump in my throat. I couldn't go on if I wasn't sober right now. Absolutely. And so doing the next right thing, this is 100% impacts my self-talk, and it 100% impacts my trajectory. And I'm just going to have faith that, Rachel, this worked for sobriety, and just do that again. Do that again in this recovery. And it has to be the same result. It has to be. So that's where I'm at. That went pretty well with no script written out. I did shut my eyes most of the time, which made me feel nice and calm. And thanks for listening today to the Recovery Daily podcast. I'll talk to you tomorrow.